forgiveness. And I want you to know how much I appreciate it. I know there were times when you were angry with me, didn't like me, said ugly things about me, but you stayed with me.
Amen.
And that's what's important. And I tried my best to stay with you. And this garment is the one that I was wearing when they painted the portrait that hangs in the committee room where I chaired. It is the first woman from Texas, the first minority from Texas, and the first black woman in history to chair a major committee who now has a portrait in the committee room. It was a large ceremony and some of you were there. Some of the experience that I've had has been kind of out of reality to me because I never worked for to be recognized as somebody that's going to have a committee room and all that. It never occurred to me as I was working. And I hope it does not sound braggadocious. But all I had in mind is trying to figure out what I could do for my district the whole time I was working. And I have been actually somewhat surprised that so much of it has been remembered and recognized upon my retirement. But it was because of you that I had the opportunity, and I tried to express my appreciation for having that opportunity by working. And many of the things that we've been able to accomplish could have and probably should have been done long before I got there, but they had not been done. And so, just last week, there was a celebration of the 40th anniversary of DART. And I'm the mother of DART. Served on both elections. The first one went down, the second one passed, and then had to go to Washington to fund it so it could happen. And all the changes and improvements, and we had to go to real arguments, staying up all night getting ready to have my facts together to justify the being and changing of the original design and where it was going to stop and what it was going to do, and then making sure people had somewhere to stand and wait. You know, that's just one project. But now I'm having a chance to reflect, and you're having a chance to express your appreciation, and I want to thank you so very, very much for it. My family did suffer, but I carried them with me. There was never a time that I didn't use an opportunity to make sure that my one son could have an opportunity to share. But I did have many nights that I worried about whether or not I was being a good mother, because I was sitting up working trying to figure out who I could get to help to achieve some of the things that I achieved. I want you to keep in mind that out of 30 years in Congress, I only had 10 broken years in a majority. And some of you probably don't recognize that. But the first 2 years, I was in a majority, and the only thing I learned is where to find the committee rooms and the bathrooms. And then we lost the majority after 43 years. I said, why did they wait till I get here to lose this majority? Because it was a flip. President Clinton was president, and he came over to meet. He had been meeting on the House floor. They wouldn't give him a place to meet with us. We had to meet in the basement, standing up in the hallway. That's how angry that flipping was. And then the last term of President Bush and the first term of President Obama and Trump were the only times that I served in a majority. And so it took twice as much effort and work. But I'm glad I'm a night person, because I spent every night studying, working, finding people to contact. And when they say I worked across the aisle, there was no other way to work, because that's what was there when you looked up. And the technique of which I will share now He said, I'd find something they need in their district, because they didn't care whether they did anything for their districts or not, because they did not want to spend the government money. Well, my attitude about that is if they're going to spend the money, I'm going to spend some in my district. But this state would not have the drinking water all over the state without my efforts, because the way I was able to get it in this area, and the way I was able to stop the flooding in this area, is to say what you need to do in your area and let's work together. And so I did develop a reputation of working across the aisle. There was no other way to do it. But I knew I was representing you, and I knew I couldn't let you down. I wasn't perfect. There's still plenty to do. But I think that I can truthfully say I stand proud of what I was able to do. And I want you to compare that with any other living human being, anywhere in this country. It's already reflecting that in the history of how many bills I was able to pass, who I was able to work with, and around here, some of the things that I was able to achieve. And I might sound braggadocious, but I think you need to know these things.
No brag, just facts.
And this man, see, I knew him as a young man with all this long black hair that had the talent of an artist that I had never met before, and the vision and the determination. And I just wanted to try to help whatever he needed to achieve. And I kept saying to him, you can't do it all by yourself. Bring some more people in and get some help. And he brought more and more do-nothings. It did take a while to develop. So all of you that are involved, I want to express my appreciation for that. Because what we have here is a monument that you will always be proud, and your pride will grow when you realize just what we do have. The talent and the results of that talent. I have looked not only around this country, but around the world for different things that individuals have achieved. Curtis has done more than most people can do when he virtually was by himself, with a little help from most of you. And then Mr. Parrish. I can't say enough about Mr. Parrish. I know quite a few people that probably made at least part of the money Mr. Parrish has made working, but very few of them have given as much as what he's given, not only in this country, but also in Africa. And when I was able to turn over to Curtis an honorarium that he gave to me, we brought him here, and he's here to stay.
Yeah. She said he's here to stay. Can we do better than that?
And I'm grateful.
Yes.
I have not met a person any more generous, a life more well lived, a man who walks with God on a daily basis, a family man. You can't ask for anything that if anybody wants to see beyond what's next to them. A family man who's been a working man, who's been willing to share what he's made all over this world. They need to meet Mr. Parrish. I am so proud that he chose Dallas as home. And the only thing I'm not really as proud of, he's not a Notre Dame graduate. He's a Purdue graduate. I say that because we kind of tease each other, because I went to St. Mary's and Notre Dame and he went to Purdue, and they were always rivals. But it's been a friendly rival. He's a great family.